the maximization of the Ghana card with respect to, of course, continuation of transactions, that's basic, for national security, for management, even what we call community management. You know, in some places, you get there, and by just walking through, they know where you stay. I mean, instantly. You know, and there are a lot of things happening that if we will actually take advantage of, because there's a lot of data that the NIA has. You know, so if we will plug in some, you know, technologies, additional technologies, and it's not just that we're going to have fancy stuff,
right?
But actually increasing revenue, because I'm looking at how do we use digitalization to actually add up to GDP, and it's huge. It's huge. I can talk about FDA, what FDA can do. I can talk about DVLA,
right.
the NIC,
yes.
You know, the police, huge thing the police can do. I mean, I think we can even, if we do it well and the police buys into it, the police can have a heavy retirement,
right.
and they will be just clean for us. So the ramifications are really huge. And I think we need to just have a discussion, sit down and say, how do we maximize this, not just to have something fanciful, but something that is actually going to grow GDP and add value to people, you know.
Right. Okay, so let me come to Mr. Doni Kwame and find out from you. One thing that I've always talked about is integration. And if you come to the port, for instance, we have ports in English, Anglophone Africa, you know, and Francophone Africa. And year on year, we go for meetings, and, you know, some of these things come up why we need to integrate, to share information, so we can, you know, operate, you know, apart. But it does appear that everybody's kind of like protecting the turf. And so this one will tell you, I'm going to share this information with you. You go, you sit back, you wait for it. It never comes. You know, tell us the role of integration in trade facilitation.
It's very important. And I've been sharing this joke with my colleagues, that do we currently have ECOWAS or DCOWAS, Democratic Community of West African States? Because if the issue about those, if membership focuses on the practice of democracy, then we need to ask questions about the founding fathers of ECOWAS.
Of course,
Those behind ECOWAS were all military juntas, leaders of military juntas, Kutua Champon, Gowon, and then Yadima. They were the founding fathers of ECOWAS. So for us to make the political aspect of it an issue, and for we business people, we believe the military leaders at the time created ECOWAS to facilitate trade.
Right.
You know, to remove most of the trade barriers at the time. So you could see, though the military leaders at the time were soldiers, got into power through coups, but saw the need for the region to integrate.
Absolutely.
And at ICC Ghana, we've had discussions, and we've realized that the most lucrative market in the next 10 to 20 years is likely to be the Abidjan-Lagos corridor. Based on numbers, any businessman that's looking into the future realize that this is a market that needs to be developed.
Absolutely.
If you're really looking into the future, anywhere in the world. So, what are the issues? The lack of infrastructure. And then our integration issues that's been lingering for all these times. I know they're working on the corridor route. I've traveled to Lagos by road and to Abidjan a couple of times. I realize that our neighbors are doing a lot.
I think last week or so I read about, you know, premium being placed on that corridor.
On that corridor.
Yes.
But Ghana takes more or less 50% of that corridor.
Right.
You know, if you look at the map.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so from Lagos, Ghana is close to about 50% of it. When it comes to infrastructure-wise, Nigeria has done its part. Benin is almost done. Togo, only Ghana, we're still struggling to see where we're even going to fix the road.
Yeah.
But we could also look at other means of transport, short sea shipping, sea transport. Really.
Right.
But sea, you really don't need to construct any routes.
Yeah.
All you need is our vessels, vessels to be plying the route. So focus should be placed on how to develop this market we're talking of, because that's the future. And it's good news during the current president's inauguration.
Yeah.
We saw the invitation to our brothers within the Sahel being part.
Yes.
More or less, they've formed what you call the proper ECOWAS,
Yes.
integrating, thinking of a single currency
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that group of four. And it brings to mind what Nkrumah did when he was championing the United States of Africa and it was not working.
Yeah.
All he did was to select 3 or 4 countries to start a union with Guinea and I guess it's in Mali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghana,
So-
Guinea, Mali. Yeah.
Guinea,
sure.
Mali, yeah.
Ghana, Guinea, Mali.
So we need to start from somewhere. If the integration is not working, at least every businessman will tell you Lagos to Abidjan alone.
Yeah.
It's something worth we business people should push the politicians to integrate these countries within that corridor.
Right.
That's the future for the whole world itself.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll still stay with you, and I would want to find out from you how Ghana's digital economy strategy aligns with its trade facilitation goals.
Ghana's digitalization.
Yes.
You can't isolate what we do because we've been championing the integration effort by having the AFCFTA Secretariat in
Absolutely,
here.
yeah.
We now have PAPS, the Pan-African Payment System. I had a privilege of meeting some officials from the Afro-Exim Bank.
Okay.
They are also working on a platform where we could try and find a way to go around the barriers associated with access to markets.
Right.
So that at least people could have that platform where they can display their products. You have the payment system. But it's a long way to go. The issues of trust also comes in. And then people want to be sure once the product is delivered at your doorstep, you don't need to pay all these duties and levies. It's a gradual process, and a lot of people look up to Ghana. Once we have the AFCFTA Secretariat in here, we start with ECOWAS. I remember ECOWAS had a similar project years back.
Have on trade in the sub-region.
I would prefer we separating the two. This is the democratic community of West African states in the Sahel.
Yeah.
But when it comes to trade, it's economic.
Right.
So the politics should be set aside and then allow business to flow amongst within the countries. So we should have a way of engaging them when it comes to trade.
Right.
Separately.
Okay.
Then the politics and then the style of governance and others can be looked at. But they should allow trade to flow between the countries.
Okay.
Which is key.
All right. Mr. Angmo, let me come to you and tell us, if you can tell us the role that ICC Ghana plays in supporting businesses and policymakers in their digital transition. Is there any role you play?
Yes. But I want to just say something quick about aligning the digital economy strategy.
Right.
The strategy of the government really has been that technology should be at the bedrock,
Yes.
of an inclusive development approach to say. And I think to that extent, if we look today at how young people are actually in Ghana, but working for organizations globally, I think to some extent that's a success. The only problem is the government doesn't really know who is doing what. So I take it as on the blind side of the state.
Right.
Okay, because I've personally recruited for foreign organizations, great talent. And interestingly, all the customers actually think that the foreign companies are the people doing the development.
Okay.
Not knowing that it's actually in Ghana. Okay, so it's something that the state needs to look at, because if we have that capacity, how do we, again, maximize it?
Right.
You know, so that's that. But again, when it comes to how is ICC helping?
Yes.
Mr. Donny is here. I think that, you know, he's in a very interesting position because he kind of mediates all the parties, you know. So you will see him talking to MPPs and NDC, because every time the agenda must be the ICC's projection and all that, as it relates to, you know, the business community is heard by all the so there's that continual engagement, you know, if I'll say it that way, that exists, you know, all the time. And like he said, you know, it's something that has always been done.
Right.
One of the most recent things that ICC did actually was the innovation hub.
Okay.
That you know, so it's a brilliant idea. So basically, for all businesses that, you know, want exposure or visibility, if you come to ICC, for example, and we vet that what you're doing is good, everything you do can be uploaded into an international portal.
Right.
And so, and this is not just Africa, this is global. Okay, so anybody in another country or continent that sees your product. Now, this has been vetted by ICC, so that's a big deal. Okay, but once they see what you're doing and the person shows interest, it means that through ICC, you can actually do business. And that's a very good thing. Of course, it has many layers to go. I think the portal is being hosted, you know, by different, you know, but that is it's already a project that we were pushing I think a few years ago. You know, so both on the governmental side and also on the business side, you know, there's always some sort of activity going on.
Right. Okay, so I would want you to walk us through the benefits that trade facilitation has brought that digitalization has brought to trade facilitation in Ghana's maritime and logistics sector. Indeed, initially you mentioned the benefits of ICOMS.
Yeah.
And also we can also talk about ease of doing business, convenience, you know, plugging the loopholes and, you know, increased revenue and all that. What are some of the other benefits that accrues to the sectors, that's the maritime and logistics sectors, in trade facilitation?
I think the most recent one is actually from MPS, you know, that what seemed impossible to do, that is setting a target so high that really is a target. They literally outperform their own target. Okay, so what all these elements that you mentioned right now, they actually causing the maritime domain to actually do better than they forecasted. And so what it's actually doing is giving investors a lot of confidence. What does that mean? It means that for the country as a whole, a new interest is going to rise for the country.
Right.
Because these guys are outperforming. And this is even not the entire package yet. They are now going to phase 2. So you can imagine if all the phases are executed, it's going to be, so I take it at first, they get in the efficiency, the productivity, and of course the revenue and all that. But in addition to that, it's creating investor confidence,
right,
you know, in the country, which is a big plus. Okay. Now, in general, if we want to talk about the value that it's creating, like I mentioned, between 2019 and 2024, I think, mobile money alone, the transaction, almost 2 trillion.
Yes.
That's no joke.
Yeah.
Okay, so these things, and we're just talking about it. Even people in the village know how to do Momo.
Momo, yeah, that's right. Sure.
You know, And that is now affecting the mobile penetration.
Yeah.
So even if you don't know how to use a phone, you got to know how to. And this means that if the country wants to communicate, access its people, you know that even the old woman in the village will be accessed. So the benefits are really enormous, and it's really left to us to determine how far we wanted to go.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm just thinking that we should use this highway, okay, to deploy many services. You know, right now, Singapore's economy, maybe it's 4 or 5 times.
Right.
$501 billion.
Right.
Okay. I see the possibility of using digitalization to rake in more value in terms of numbers.
Right.
Okay, and it's not just for the state, but the more we do, we're also able to create more jobs. Okay, because we want the agri sector to grow. We need investment. How are you going to get the money? Okay, if we begin to run, let's say, FDA, okay, with all the portfolio they have, we can be raising so much money from FDA. Okay, we can look at DVLA. Okay, there are a lot of vehicles moving on the road. They are not even roadworthy, and some of them are not even insured.
Yeah.
Okay, but they go day in and day out.
Yeah.
How is it we don't know? We can easily have systems that can tell us the car just to move now. That is not. It doesn't pass one, and it's not even insured. Police get them, and you can do this thing so fast that, and the police is not going to prolong this thing. You know, look, there's a body camera. Straight away, everything the police says or does is captured.
Yes.
The fine is there. The system detects it. It goes to your car owner. In fact, in Singapore, what I like is they take the money instantly from the bank account of the car owner, straight away. You know, so really we can stretch it. You know, but like I said, we need that team that sits down and say, guys, let's see how do we maximize this for the country. You know, so that's
okay. So in terms of digitalization, there was this announcement by the current roads minister, I guess, and the NDC administration, the current one, about reinstatement of tolling on our roads and all that.
Yeah.
And people think that, okay, one of the concerns was the delays because it was manually done, and so you'd have to queue in traffic and all that. And so people are of the opinion that if this is going to happen, why don't we deploy technology, digitalization, so that we don't waste time.
Exactly.
You know, on the roads. And that would be an excellent thing. One, it will plug the loopholes where people take so much money and go and under-declare.
Yeah.
And then two, it makes it faster. I mean, you don't delay, you don't have to queue and all that. What do you think? What should we be doing if this is actually going to happen?
The good news is that these technologies have already been implemented. I was in a taxi. The driver was trying to take a lane.
Right.
I mean, I thought it's interesting. We are driving on the lane, deciding to change the lane, he will have to pay. For that lane, you pay.
Yes.
Because it gives you a privileged access to certain territories. Immediately he took the turn. An RFID, just scan his card. You have to place it at a certain location at the windscreen.
Right.
Beep him, it took the money.
Wow.
This is already, you know, this I'm talking, how many years now? You know, over 5 years.
Yes,
So it's there. I also support, because I really, you know, I think we can make more money from that. Really. Absolutely. So the technologies are there already.
Right.
It's just a matter of the will to do it, and we're good to go.
Yeah. Okay. Let me come to Mr. Donikwame and find out from you if there are any sectors that are lagging in terms of, you know, the deployment of or adopting digital trade solutions, and what, you know, encouragement would you give to such sectors?
Let me just add a few points to what he just raised.
Yes.
At ICC, we also have our own platform. We call it the ICC One Click, which is supposed to help businesses to seize global trade opportunities on that same platform. To help you to draft contracts, to to execute business transactions, and also to prevent and solve disputes.
Right.
Since we're well known for our ICC International Court of Arbitration.
Yes.
And these platforms are there to support. And I remember he mentioned the ICC Entrepreneurial Hubs.
Yeah.
Currently, we have about 4 in Africa, Ghana, Lagos, Nairobi, Casablanca, so at least the north, the south, east, and west. And then we also have hubs in South America,
right,
where we do communicate with each other on market opportunities. So members have that privilege. Those who are members have registered to be part of the ICC Entrepreneurial Hub, have access to all these market information that they need.
Right.
And as to areas that needs support,
Yes.
From what you just mentioned, I had a privilege of attending the China International Supply Chain Expo.
Right.
And to tell you the truth, I was amazed at the latest technologies that were available. And I met a couple of CEOs, the kind of businesses they are doing in Ghana. I know the current government is looking at PPPs when it comes to infrastructure development.
Right. Yes.
I think the NDC calls
Yes.
it the big push. And you would expect that if we can't borrow from the international markets, then definitely you need investors,
Yes.
Public-private partners, investors to invest in constructing our roads.
Yeah.
And as he just mentioned, a good package would be for the investor to know that after constructing, let's say, 6 lanes, 3 lanes in and out to maybe Kumasi or Takrady or Tamale, I can deploy the system whereby the money from my road toll can be deducted without any human interface.
Yeah.
Why not? It makes it very easier for investors to buy into a project of that nature. And it's still taxing with the issue of the Ghana card, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
That for a thing like that to work, you should have a system whereby people can be identified easily, so that once the car it's going, it's being towed, the fees can be deducted on the windscreen easily.
Right.
And the driver can also be identified, as we saw at the MPS Terminal 3.
Absolutely.
These systems do exist, and we really don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to package these things and attract the right investment.
Absolutely.
Sectors.
All right. Okay, so this is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at harnessing digital trade innovations for Ghana's economic growth, and we're taking some perspectives from the International Chamber of Commerce. With us in the studios, Mr. Emmanuel Donikwame, Secretary General, ICC Ghana, that's International Chamber of Commerce Ghana, and indeed Mr. Anthony Angmo, who is Chair, Commission on the Digital Economy, ICC Ghana. They're the two gentlemen we're having a discussion with tonight. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we will continue the show. Please stay with us.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP will fill ya, huh? Will be feel. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water, or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so welcome back. This is Iron Port here on Metro TV, and tonight we are taking a look at harnessing digital trade innovations for Ghana's economic growth and some perspectives from the International Chamber of Commerce, Ghana, ICC Ghana. With us in the studios, Mr. Emmanuel Donikwame, who is Secretary General of ICC Ghana, and indeed Mr. Anthony Angmo. Mr. Anthony Angmo is the Chair, Commission on the Digital Economy, ICC Ghana. Once again, thank you so much, gentlemen, for obliging us. And so I've been told by the production team that we can activate the phone lines for you to call. The number is right here on your screen, 0245-834980, 0245-834980. You can call in and contribute to the discussion pretty shortly, which I'll be going to the inbox and to bring you some of the messages that you've sent in. But let me go back to Mr. Donikwame. You mentioned the ICC one-click. Yes, can you elaborate the expert sheet on what the ICC one-click does or what it's about?
It's a support service from the global headquarters. And
Right.
it's a digital platform that we've created to help businesses build their capacity.
Right.
And on that platform, there are tools for those who want to trade beyond their own borders.
Right.
Mostly exporters. So if you're looking for access to any market, on that platform you get the right information
Right.
in that particular country. If you want to draft a contract between yourself and a potential partner, there are all samples of contracts. It will guide you on choosing the right contract. If you're already in business with somebody and there's some kind of dispute, it also guides you on the way out how to mediate your way through.
Right.
So it's a product that has the businessman in mind from thought to finish.
Right.
You know. Yeah.
Okay. This one says, good evening. Good discussion. Please ask the panel, please ask the panel how we can create the digital economy in Accra, within Accra, Lomé, Abidjan, and Abuja corridors in terms of physical infrastructure, systems, and areas of specialization for each country within the maritime industry. This one is from Engineer Nate. Okay, Engineer Nate is my mate at RMU. We did the master's program together. Thank you so much. Double engine, we call him.
It starts with harmonization of our rules. You know, with AI creeping in, there's been the need for countries not to set up their own individual rules.
Right.
If we're looking at the corridor as a market, Nigeria should not have its own rules vis-a-vis Ghana. Then
Right.
it comes to infrastructure. Roaming is still an issue. We should have a way of Ghanaians traveling to Nigeria and being able to use their phones. You know. And then the next thing has to do with the technology standards itself, and then the industry itself self-regulating itself. That's very important.
The industry itself self-regulating itself. Can you? Yeah.
A very good example is Incoterms. This is something that's been generated by businesses, and these are just voluntary rules. They are not mandatory, but they are rules that can be voluntary. So an industry can come out with its own industry standards.
Right. Okay, so let me come to Mr. Angmo and find out from you the biggest barriers to digital trade adoption in Ghana, be they regulatory, infrastructure, or industry driven.
Sincerely speaking, I think it's rather an issue of visionary leadership. I believe that if a leader sets the course that I want to achieve this, all players come on board. Until the vision is set, even those with the ideas lay back as though they are unable to do anything.
Right.
And that's why usually we say that the people that speak into the ears of the president or leadership must be well informed, okay, and so that they can help him project right. You know, the question you asked right now about the infrastructure,
yes,
it's just leadership. The leaders of these corridors can just meet and say, guys, we want this to be achieved. That's it. You know, years ago, I lived, you know, I schooled in Russia. And those days, when you receive a call, you still paid for it. Putin just woke up one day and said, listen, all incoming calls are free. And that was the end. You see, so I say that all the things that need to be done, most of them we already have already. You see, this ability to track vehicles effectively,
yes,
it's already there. You know, to be able to even itemize, you know, or know the content of a container and all that. These things are, the technologies are already there. It's just the will of the leaders to say, guys, at this point, let's make this work. Who are the players? And everybody just comes on board. You know, so I think the decision of leadership, it's actually the key thing here.
Right.
You know, and I think that if they will set the agenda, we'll follow through.
All right, so I think there's also the negative or disadvantageous side. Recently, I don't know whether you heard about some fiber cuts elsewhere, which disrupt trade in a certain way. How can we overcome some of these challenges?
So the thing is this: the technology exists for. In fact, we have wireless or what we call infrared
Yes.
communication devices,
Right.
that have the same throughput as cable underground.
Right.
And I'm talking, this is like 10 years ago technology. No, even wait, 15 years. Okay, we wanted to even deploy it, I think at GPHA at the point.
Right.
Okay, it's long ago. So if passing cable underground is a problem, beam it through the air. And we're talking, this is national, national infrastructure. And so, and we know it will pay off later. It will
Right.
pay off later. So why don't we just do the right thing? If we have a problem with fiber cut, send it through the air. And it's a military-grade technology. It's being used, you know. So really, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel we're having excuses to drop the thing. But they customize the system, okay? And so what started off with the initial problem that it had is because it wasn't completely done, but then it had to go live.
Right.
Okay, and so obviously when that happens, you have all these glitches that still, persist. But the thing is, we met the head of ICOMS at our last supply chain summit.
Okay.
You know, I actually hosted the panel. So there are still works being done. It's just that I expected by now, you know, we should have moved way forward.
Right.
I currently do not know the major hurdles in ICOMS, but at the time I knew that there was progress being made in fixing it. So it's a system.
Right.
It's just that sometimes it needs to be hastened. Now, as of this is a national system, so you can't just flip it, like that. So I know that the best way around it is for the, the bugs to say, or the hitches to be fixed.
Yeah.
However, I believe in what I was talking about, maybe we'll call it a Department of Digital Services Efficiency.
Right. Okay.
Call it maybe .se or something. From what Dodgy, yeah, .se. I think that is something we are missing out in our digitalization agenda.
Right.
We need to sit and say, okay, we've implemented this for 5 years. Where have we achieved our aim 100%?
You do an evaluation. An audit and evaluation.
You see, I see that we're not doing that across board. So if we would do that, then a team can be set to push to fix all these things.
Right.
It's better to fix them because it's a huge system, than to say, let's flip it,
Right.
So that's what I would say to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of our regular texters and viewers, Ohima in Tema, she says, good evening, Iron Port. Is the ICC promoting a digital platform for trade in particular or promoting digital trade in general? Kindly clarify for me, Ken.
We're doing both. Yeah, we're doing both. Let me just make a few comments on my colleagues' love for Department for Government Efficiency.
Yes.
We were quite thrilled when we heard that we now have a Minister for Public Sector Reform. And I guess a Minister for Public Sector Reform fits into that bill. During the President Kufuor era, we had a Minister for Public Sector Reforms, and that was a key person from the private sector, trying to bring the efficiencies within the private sector into the public sector on how to reform our system. And we hope and believe that the business community will see to it that that ministry does work. And of all the ministries that have been created, that's one ministry of interest to most of us, based on what's happening in the US at the moment. And to make sure we take a full audit of all our systems and our procedures within all our government institutions to see how best we can cut the waste. Because the whole...
Currently, if you look at the banking sector, for example, incorporating or integrating mobile money into your banking.
Yes.
When e-levy was passed,
yes,
everybody was thinking, most of us were all thinking that we're all going to just decline to use
mobile money. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah.
But actually didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't because
it's something we can't do. We can't do without.
It's a convenience.
Yeah, it's something we can't do without.
Because if I need to go to the bank, you look at the time I'm going to spend to go to the bank.
Yes.
And then go and be in a queue. Meanwhile, you can pay whether 2 cities or 3 cities or 10 cities even, and you still get it. So you calculate all that, and you realize that for efficiency,
driving to the bank alone, fuel
you understand? So for me, the impact on life itself, of course, we don't usually analyze these things, but the impact on you as a human being, because like you're driving there, I could have done other things, but now you have to waste all the time in traffic, So well-being of people, has actually been helped to some degree. If you look at, even though we still believe that a lot of efficiencies remain to be hiked, to say, in the implemented systems.
Right.
But if you look at it, right now, taxes, we pay taxes online. Before, I have to go and fill forms, then you go to the office, now you don't do that. I just pick the card, and then, the tax is already there. So just click, and you put the card in, that's it. It's value if we pick different sectors, and then look at how they actually add in value.
Right.
to the life
Okay,
of
so
people.
there are those that also are of the opinion that if we don't slow down on digitalization and technology and all those things, there are people that are also going to be rendered redundant or jobless.
No.
We had that.
Yeah, we had that.
Right.
ICC is taking it up, and we've outlined 4 pillars for our global AI governance.
Right.
From the perspective of business, we think we should have a general principles of codes of conduct.
Right.
Regulation, as I mentioned earlier, technology standards, and an industry self-regulation. And this based on the whole issue of our global shared values, which has to do with equality, transparency, accountability, fairness, and the most important, privacy.
Yes.
And then a human-centric approach to everything.
Right.
AI may take away people's jobs, but you realize that the bottom line is people want decent jobs to be able to go home and then take care of the family.
Yeah.
What I observed in China, in as much as they've deployed all the technologies at the supply chain summit, I raised concern about what I saw about it's believed to be the biggest mine in the world at the moment, but it's in Africa. I'll mention the country where they've deployed driverless cars, excavating, digging, and the one manning the whole operations is somewhere millions of miles away, and you have trucks just doing the work.
Controlling everything from.
The system is just working efficiently 24/7. With only 5 cars being driven by humans. Yeah. And I was like, so what happens? I raised that question that to the politician or to everybody, hey, your job is to create jobs. Yeah. And he is of the opinion, you need to diversify. People need to be retrained to acquire new skills.
Yeah. Right.
And then the pace at which things are moving, we need to also step up. Right. I think he will be able to explain himself, but I still believe we still have an issue. Because I raised that issue at the summit. Right. That I still have an issue with that.
Yeah. No, we're discussing, in fact, just here. I believe that the primary job of every leader is his people. Okay. And if the people are your primary focus, do you want to send the people away because the machines were doing the job? I say no, because your primary people your primary focus or objective is not just profit, but the people. So what do? Take some of the profit, train them. I actually call it retrain to give the people new designations. Right. Okay. Now what happens is that you have increased the value on them. Human capital. Okay, it's important. We have to be intentional. I think the biggest asset Singapore has is its people. Right. It's the people. Okay. So we build and develop the people. Now, with all the money you make, you can decide, okay, I'm investing or diversifying 2 million out of that. Right. The people you have trained here who are not needed critically here right now, you can repost them. So you are making value, but you are not letting go or throwing away the people. Right. The people also keep increasing their worth and their value. So it's a thing that we really need to have a discussion, that this is our national policy. We're doing all this because we want the efficiencies, we want the productivity, of course we want the revenue, but we want our people also to increase in value. Right. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win. Absolutely. And I think that that's what we should look at. So when all these investors come and say, want to cut off, no. Our national policy, we need to love our country a little bit, Our national policy is, we want the AI, we want the technologies, but we don't want to throw our people away. The truth is, and we're talking about it, if you make the profit, and the people become poorer and poorer, tomorrow, they will launch into your factory, okay, because they have nothing to eat, and you have siphoned all the money, so you're gonna be targeted. let our profiting be to the benefit of others also.
Right.
You know, that's philosophy we hold.
Right. Okay, so let me come to Mr. Donikwame and find out from you. What's your assessment of Ghanaian businesses in terms of their quest to maximize e-commerce and digital marketplaces for international trade?
Yes, there's a lot going on. I've seen a couple of platforms. It's still issues with cost. Yes, you can display your proof.
So, in terms of digital trade progress, compared to other economies like Morocco, Kenya, and South Africa, and even Rwanda, how are we faring?
We're doing far better. At least you may have the figures.
Yeah.
Yes, digital trade progress.
I mean, I think it just last quarter or so, Ghana ranked first, I mentioned, on the GSMA, what they call the mobile money index.
Yes.
We topped, that, at least for mobile money, we are okay there, 95.06%. And that's, so Rwanda is after us, and then you have Morocco and the rest coming after.
Right.
So we're not doing badly there, but I think the key is to use that success to affect other areas. How, I think we really need to learn ourselves.
Right.
What did we do? Just, reverse the whole thing and then see if, to just go back and look at the things we did and perhaps, channel it, the same concept and understanding into different sectors, and who knows, And
the cost issue also has to do with the cost of data.
Right.
I guess we need to attract more investment into that space. We currently have Elon Musk's
the Starlink.
The Starlink stuff. We need more competition in the space.
Right.
Maybe the cost element might go.
In one of your earlier submissions, you made mention of the AFTA Secretariat, in Ghana. That's something that we're all proud of. I just want to find out from you how well positioned we are as a country to leverage AFTA's digital trade framework.
Once we have the Secretariat in Ghana, I guess the rest of Africa will always look up to us. If AFTA fails, Ghana can be blamed for that. And as a result, ICC launched the ICC Africa Sustainable Supply Chain Summit together with the UNDP. We intend having the second edition of the summit, hopefully this year.
Yeah.
I guess the protocols on digitalization are still being worked on by the individual countries. What I saw had to do with harmonization of most of our issues, and then convergence of governance standards, which is at the heart of ICC. We believe the lack of a digital standard for that industry globally is becoming an issue. And if countries has to develop their individual ones, will be an investment that is available. Do you bring in more investment within that sector? That's the key. That's the only way to go. The current investors within that space need to get a good return on their investment.
Absolutely.
And if they've gotten a lot out of it, the regulator can come out with a way of coming out with packages instead of making more money from revenue or taxes or fees they charge the investor, but could rather leverage on coming out with a policy that spreads that revenue into reducing the cost of data for the citizens. That's one way.
Right.
Or attracting more investors into the space. Those who can come up with the latest technology that can make it cheaper for us.
Right. Ms. Angmo.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So
welcome news from the Communications Minister.
I of course, we always wanted to go lower and lower and lower. But the truth be told, the infrastructure, creating the channel for us to communicate
Yes.
needs some upgrading or enhancement. Okay, because I don't know if you, but for some heavy users, at a certain point in a day, the bandwidths get choked. Okay.
That's a peak period.
Yes.
When almost everybody virtually is
Yes.
on the computer,
Certain
the
industries,
phones,
yeah,
and
certain industry from
tablets and all that.
2:30 to 3 thereabout to say 5.
Yes.
Everything
choked,
is
yeah.
so slow. Personally, I feel like our telcos are not paying too much attention. And with this news, I think they need to really access their technical sheets.
Right.
Okay, what are you really giving the people? And let's test it. I think this will be a way. Sometimes you say nice things, but technically it's not so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that with such, claims or decisions or plans, he needs to really get his technical team to go, pick random sites and let's test the actual throughput you making available to our people. I think if he will go that way, it will be putting his lips to the task.
Yeah.
Okay, so that it's not just lip service, but they will ensure that the providers actually do their work.
Right.
So for me personally, I think that if they will even ensure that the capacity they promise now is being delivered, I don't think we have too much of a problem. By the way, Ghana is actually, though we wanted to go lower, perchance by now, the investors have already recouped a lot.
Yeah.
And so, reducing the price, it's not asking for too much,
Yeah.
So I think that the key thing is,